Ahoy! Here he is. Woodlander's in. Apparently, I'm silent as a mouse pissing on a cotton bud. So he's struggling to hear me. So I thought I'd start the stream, and you guys can tell us how the audio sounds. Cause I've done it the same as I always do, and I'm booming, but apparently he's struggling to hear me. I'll have to shout.
It might be my old age, actually, Matt. Do you know what I mean?
You don't look a day over 70, Woodlander. It's
make sure. Can they hear me and they can hear you? Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like the audio's good. Look, sound on my end, booming. You get like little
green
that's
fine. You're just quiet. Don't worry about it.
There's like 3 little buttons in the corner, and they fly up and down when you're talking. And it seems like we're both doing all right. So
yeah, that's cool.
As long as the audience can hear, fuck you, Woodlander. All right. Well, anyway, this is the first time I've had you on. What's his name? Jack reached out to me and said, "Oh, give Woodlander a plug." And I said, "To be honest, I watch his streams all the time. I'm lazy with organising shit. I've never actually told anyone to piss off when they've asked to come on my show, but nobody asks and I don't reach out. So yeah, it's good to see you.
Yeah, you too, mate.
We can talk about.
I like your stuff. I like your take on things. I like the way you keep it light. There's a lot of doom and gloom out there, and I've got to be honest. I kind of go down that pessimistic road, and I try to always add a solution in as well. I don't like just saying it's going to get bad, it's going to get awful. I always try to say, look, but even though it's like that, there is something we can do. Whereas your take seems to be, it is awful, but let's have a fucking good laugh at it whilst the world's burning, right? At least laugh at it.
Yeah, well, see, you're much better than me, aren't you? You're a pragmatist and you've got real solutions, which is, we'll talk about the Woodlander initiative. The difference between me and you is, you'll say, Lenny Henry's a wanker, we should deport him. And I'll say, Lenny Henry's a wanker, I bet he had 12 brass rings round his neck when he was behind, before he came out on stage. I don't give any solutions, I just ruthlessly mock these people because I've told you my theory is, people who just make political content on YouTube, they're 10 a penny, who just read you the news and whinge. So I'll try to be the comedy guy, but it can be hard, and it does get you in trouble. The amount of people who've got horrendously offended when I've made jokes about some awful atrocity. But I think gallows humour's in our blood. I think ultimately we do get it. Most people do. You got to try and look at the right side, haven't you?
We're very good at taking the piss out of ourselves as well. Do you know what I mean? And there are many groups of people like that. But we do need to keep it light sometimes because it's so fucking horrendous. Excuse my language as well. It's not my channel. I should keep it under wraps. But there's a few things I want to ask because it's the first time I've had a chance to talk to you. So, why did you move to America?
Well, you know what? This is good, right? I don't think we've gone down this approach where people ask me questions.
Yeah.
I think it's worth doing because the amount of people who throw erroneous shite in my chat, and I feel like, I don't really talk about myself very much, right? So the first thing is, I'll tell you, I've been out here ages. I'll tell you, I can tell you exactly when I moved out. In fact, I'm going to Google it now because I don't know. When was the Scottish independence referendum? Because that was when I moved out here. I'm going to Google it. What was it? 2014. So I've been out here 12 years.
I bought my plot of land in 2014. So roughly the same time. Oh, so it'll be interesting to see. So you went from army lad, Middlesbrough. It is Middlesbrough. What? It
is Middlesbrough, yeah. But it's
so
not
there
the
you
army,
are. You're in Middlesbrough.
Marines, not the army.
And you. What on earth made you go? Do you know what? Fuck this! I'm going to America.
Right. So that's what I want to address because very, very chippy ethnats have a go at me and say, "Oh, you ran away," and I always say to them, "Like what? Like you were there with like a beret on and an AK-47, and there's Nigerian pirates coming ashore." And I went, "Oh, I ran away." I said, "I moved out here like a decade ago when things were a lot more sane." When I left the UK, which is why I'm saying you're clearly a forward-thinking man. When I left the UK, it wasn't that fucked.
Yeah, yeah.
Like 2014 was I think it was the very beginning of the woke shite. And that's what I tell people all the time. I also didn't vote in the Brexit referendum. I still could have done, because it was literally just got out here, and I still had proxy voting set up in the borough. And I thought, you know what? Principles. I'm not living there anymore. I probably shouldn't have a say in it. So even though I was sort of rooting for it, I didn't vote for it. I didn't feel that strongly about it. I also didn't think that the Brexit was going to win. I was very cynical. So I didn't even vote in that. I was certainly a bit more of a wet lefty when I moved out here. First guy I liked out here was Bernie Sanders, of all people. I mean, think of that. I look at him now and I'm like, my God, I wouldn't trust him to walk my fucking dog without feeding it into a wood chipper. But it's been a mad state of affairs. And I literally just moved out here, again, for no political reasons. It wasn't like I was there going, this is shit. It was like, my missus is a Yank. We lived in York for 5 years because she went to do a master's degree out there. And we lived for a few years after she finished her education. And then they sent, the cheeky bastards sent us a letter. So this kind of is foreshadowing the way the world went. Sent us a letter and said to her, oh, you didn't earn enough last year.
You got to go.
You've got to fuck off. And I've since learned this was common. You might have heard me tell the story of when I was in the cinema in LA and a girl in front of me heard my accent and she turned around and said, are you from the northeast of England? And I said, yeah, you guys normally think I'm Irish or Scottish. I said, how did you know? And she said, oh, I lived in England for years. I loved it. I had a really good job. And then they sent me a letter and said, you've got 30 days to get out. So I ended up out here by pure chance. Like, if the British government hadn't have actively been throwing out well-educated, master's degree educated young American women, I'd have stayed where we were. I was working for the council in York, and I was quite happy. And it's quite a big deal to move. But when they said that to her, I said, you know what then, fuck it. So I said, you go home, sort your shit out. I'll quit my job whenever you think we're ready to go, and I'll come over. So she went. 3 months later, she'd done all of her admin, got us a little apartment in Pasadena, and then I put my notice in at work, and 2 weeks later, I was fucking over here. No ideological reasons for it. What was funny, this will make you laugh. So the guy who deals with the visas, they got me whatever visa it was. She sorted the paperwork out. And when I turns up at the airport, they must give a lot of immigrants these visas, like a spousal visa or whatever. When I turned up at the airport, the bloke in Dublin, it was Dublin I went from, he proper debriefed me like I was a fucking gypsy from somewhere. He goes to me, right, let me tell you something. If when you get there, your wife doesn't meet you at the airport and you don't know where she is, you get the fuck back on the plane, like as if it was a proper, like, manufactured fake marriage. Do you know what I mean? I was like, mate, I've been living with her for fucking 5 years. Like, it's mad, isn't it? Now, in the old days when we used to stereotype people for good reason, you wouldn't treat an educated English chap the same as you would treat a fucking Somalian with a bone through his nose. No, but those days have gone, haven't they?
The weird thing out of that is that your wife, who was like American and had a job over here and was working well, she was deported, really. And it is commonplace. And not many people know that. But it does look like Rupert Lowe knows that. Because he's made a big deal of this, that he's going to make it much easier for blokes like you that have got an American wife or a Swedish wife or French wife or a German wife for them to stay without getting booted out or threatened to be booted out every 6 months. I never knew that was a major problem, but apparently it is. And it's difficult to get your wife into the country. Yeah, if you turn up on a fucking dinghy, right, with no claim whatsoever, no problem. And then after we fed you and housed you in a 4-star hotel for 3 years, you can stay for the rest of your life. Insanity.
Lunacy. And it's why, and I tell everybody this, like, because everyone's watched this journey with me. I've been at this for 6 or 7 years. You go from being like wet lefty, sivnat, ethnat, because you're forced to if you've got a fully functioning brain. Like, The woman who turned around in the cinema and told me
the other way. So I was what I would consider far right at the age of 12. And look, I'm not kidding. I had the race. It started with a race relations officer in my front room talking to my father and me about me being beat up on a regular basis by a gang of black kids. And my old man had just had enough of it, gone down to the police station and said, "You got to sort this out." And they were like, "No, we're not doing anything." So we had this race relations officer around, and he basically said, "Probably best if your boy just avoids them." My old man's head just exploded. And he was like, "No, what you need to do is stop them, because they're not just picking on him, they're picking on all these other kids, and they're taking their money, and then if they ain't got any money, they beat them up. So you stop that." And he said, "Well, that might cause some issues." So in the end, my old man threw him out the house. But I was left at 12, 13, wondering how we got into a situation where these people were allowed to do whatever they wanted. They were allowed to break the law with no repercussions. And the only people discussing that at the time were people like the National Front. So no one else was really talking about it. And we just had the first race riots in the UK, so early 80s. And that's kind of why there was this softly approach. They didn't want it to blow up again. They didn't want another Toxteth. They didn't want another St. Paul's. But it's a mistake. It was a big fucking mistake. But it left me in a situation at a really young age where the only information I could get was from these far-right groups who were saying, "Yeah, this is going on all the time." So I started reading the papers, and it actually did me good because I was opened up to a whole lot of information and literature that nobody else could get hold of. And I went down that route for a long time. So I went from the National Front to the British National Party. And after about 10 years, I thought, these people are never, ever, ever going to get near the levers of power. As much as what they're advocating for is okay, they're never going to be allowed to get there.
Yeah.
And that was fairly obvious to me. So, but it left me quite despondent, where I was like, okay, I've just put 10 years of my life into this, and now I have to step out and look at something else. So I ended up in 97 when I spent a few years not doing anything. My political beliefs were still much the same, but I spent the time studying and looking at how things were going. And I ended up joining the Conservative Party in 97.
Fucking hell.
I know.
Just when they went
mainly because I wanted to see if it was possible to move a party that had been absolutely annihilated, if it was possible to get all of our guys into there and move it to the right. Because there were a lot of people that thought like me, which is there's no way the BNP is going to get into power. It doesn't matter how well they do at council elections. They're not going to be allowed. But the Conservative Party could. And if it was filled with our guys, then we were on to a winner. And at grassroots level, it's possible. You could take over a constituency within 2 months. You could fill it with your people. You could have every council seat going, right? It's when you get up into Parliament. And I was shadowing our MP, going to the House of Commons. I met Thatcher, I met Portillo, I met Haig, all the top dogs at the time. When you get up to the top, you realise it's nothing to do with politics. It's nothing to do with what you think politics is about. It's all to do with business. It's a business.
Well, my old man always said, if you see the face, they aren't the ones pulling the strings. He said, if you know the fucker, they aren't the ones doing all the string pulling.
No.
And I do understand that. I mean,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Now, you got to think. I had already been made aware, like that. Oh, it's a one party system, and they're both the same. And you hear it all the time. And I had heard it, and I've read it. But when you actually get to see like Labour MPs giving directorships on companies that they're forming to Tories and their best mates, and they go on holiday together and they have barbecues and they're drinking in the bar at the House of Commons and laughing and joking. And what you see on the telly is them rowing and throwing shit at each other. That's all rubbish. And these companies were getting government contracts, and like the Tories would do the same. So they would like have companies, and there would be Labour MPs on the board of directors, because when they're out of power, they've got to be looked after as well. It was nothing to do with politics. It was all to do with the gravy train, the money, the businesses. Right, what are we going to do now? We're out of power. We've still got to make a living. It was really, really, again, demoralising for me to see that there was no way that politics didn't work, right? Because it wasn't politics. So I'm now back out again, and I'm thinking, okay, this system is well and truly knackered, right? It's just corrupt. How do I extradite myself from it? How do I get out of that? The first thing I did was shut down all my bank accounts, no credit cards, and used only cash. So I didn't have a bank account for 23 years at all. And then I wasn't registered anywhere. I left my job and went self-employed. And just became, I was what's known as grey then. If you searched for me, you wouldn't have found me anywhere. I wasn't registered on the electoral roll. I wasn't registered at a doctor's. I wasn't registered anywhere at all. I had nothing in my name, and I had no bank account. I had no loans, nothing. And I existed quite well.
My dad's like that. He told me he still doesn't know how to use a cash machine.
Yeah.
He's just like, he used to keep his money in books. Whenever I needed any money, I'd be like going to a fucking book. I was like, yeah, he's a queer bugger. But as I said, you're obviously forward thinking, because look how the world's gone. Which takes us to the Woodlander initiative, which we can talk about a little bit, because obviously noobs to the channel won't know about it. And I actually joined a couple of years ago. I've still got a.
You've still got a membership going. Still chip in, I know, and that's it's much appreciated. It's kind of started. So you got to put this in context again. If you go back 6-7 years ago when COVID was in full swing, people that were quite intelligent actually shit a brick. If you were like me, you looked around and you saw what the state was doing and how they put you under house arrest. They had, like, you couldn't go 5 months. No one took any notice, really. But then you saw what the coppers were doing in other countries, like in Australia, like beating the crap out of people for having a cup of coffee. And you saw how it could go. That woke a lot of people up. And a lot of people then looked at what I had done, which is I bought some land. I built a home big enough for me and my family. I had chickens. I grew vegetables, right? And it gave me a lot of options, a lot. And I was able to dispel a lot of myths, because a lot of people think, oh, what, like a shed in the woods. Well, my cabin's 2,000 square foot. I've got central heating. I've got a great big American fridge. I've got a washing machine, a tumble dryer, a microwave. I've got everything you've got in your house.
Yeah.
Here. So it dispelled a lot of myths, and a lot of people sort of really wanted to do it. So I started off by helping individuals, and I helped around 20 people do the same thing: buy some land, build a cabin, move off grid. And then we had people that wanted to do it as a group, and that's where the Woodlander initiative really came into its own, because we had a group of about 20 of us, and we were looking at land and we were putting in offers and we were outbid. And when we looked at it, we found that every time we were outbid, it was big corporations and companies that were outbidding us. And they were just buying up land all over the place to use for greenwashing. So we've got, they were saying we've got 500 acres, so therefore we can run our fleet of cars and have 72 flights a year and offset the carbon because we own this land. So we can continue as normal just by owning it, which is ludicrous. But it put us in a position where we would have been better off being a company than a gang of individuals. So that's what I decided to do. So it was a big step for me because it meant getting back into the system, which I've just spent 10 years getting out of. So now I had to open up a bank account. I had to start dealing with solicitors. I had to start dealing with estate agents and get right back into all of that horrible
shit
stuff.
You don't like. Yeah. You know what? Well, this will make you laugh. When I was throwing up your website, I popped up on Google and typed in Woodlander Initiative UK. I kept this to show you. And Google being Google, you're not the top link. If you type in Woodlander Initiative UK,
it's either the Guardian or Hope Not Hate.
You're the fourth one down. The top one's the fucking Guardian having a pop, right? Which is great. The second one's your Facebook page. The third one's Hope Not Hate, and they only updated it in February. Look, and it says ethno-nationalists, fascists, the people of related groups. Patriotic Alternative. It said it's a land buying scheme spearheaded by Wiltshire-based tattoo artist and long-standing far-right activist. Well, you've talked me into it, lads. That's amazing, isn't it? And it's just them slagging you off.
I know.
Conspiracy theory.
Par for the course, mate. It really is. The thing is, it worked. The minute we started it, and the idea was really simple because we already had a group of 20 and everyone wanted their own little plot, but it makes sense for everyone to put their money in, buy a bigger plot. You get more land because you're buying a larger plot. And then we were saying, well, but we want a bit that we can all use as well, a communal bit. So we said, well, okay, but let's do this properly. If everyone can chip in £1,000, right, that means that anyone who becomes part of this organisation has got somewhere they can go, and it doesn't have to be one plot. We could have plots in every single county in the country. So 1,000 people, if we can get 1,000 people puts in £1,000, that's £1 million. Now suddenly we're £1 million organisation. We can start to buy land in every single county. We can hive off half of each plot for the members in that area that want their own plot. We can chop them right down to quarter-acre plots, not load them with profit, which is what happens on the market. You can buy a half acre, right, but it'll cost you, I don't know, 10,000.
Yeah.
Whereas if we do it, if we buy 20 acres, we've got 10 acres for everyone can use it, and the other 10 acres we can chop down. We don't add any profit onto that. We just chop it down and keep it at the same price. So it makes it really affordable. We've had our members in our organisation buy their own plot of land for £3,000, which is, do you know what I mean? It's kind of the money some people spend on a holiday.
Oh, it's definitely worth pitching in for. I think that long-term thinking is the way people need to start moving towards. We've had this consumerist opinion where you're like, oh, I've paid all my bills this month and I've got £1,000 left over, or I'll buy some shite I don't need then. I think we need to be aware of what's coming. I think that all of the conspiracy theorists, I mean, look at the world the last 10 years. Everyone gets who called a conspiracy theorist is just right before everybody else. Like every one of them.
There's a whole set of problems we've got in this country. So we've got the diversity problem. So if you don't want to live in a highly diverse, and this is going to come to a head in 3 years, right? Because Restore are either going to get in or they're not. One or the other.
Yeah. Either way, it's going to kick off.
Either way, it's going to explode. Right?
Yeah.
I can't see any other way. But if you don't want to be living in a highly diverse area, right, then fine. do something about it. That's my argument, is you really don't do something about it. Don't just sit there fucking moaning. Well, we can offer you an alternative.
Yeah.
If you can't afford it, that's absolutely fine, right? We can work something out. If you've got skills and you're working, you can't afford it because you're paying rent and you're paying a mortgage or you're paying something, right? Let's look at a way we can reduce that down and get you a piece of land. We'll help you build something, and now you've got no rent and no mortgage to pay.
Yeah.
So there's ways we can do it. We've also got to deal with Agenda 2030, which, as much as it's not in the news stream, is still chugging along. They're still looking. Oxford is now a 15-minute city. You're allowed to leave your zone twice a week. That's it. Any more than that, they fine you. Like twice a week. That's all you're allowed to drive out of your zone. If you go 3 times a week, it's a £90 fine. Bath has just signed up to do exactly the same. And before you know it, right, I know the town I'm living in, Warminster, what they're saying is the whole of Warminster is a 15-minute zone. So you'll be allowed to leave Warminster twice a week. And the way they do it is by saying, but you've got everything there that you need. So be aware when they start doing good stuff in your town, like doing up the playground for the kids, because there's a reason they're doing it. It's so they can say, you've got a playground for the kids, you've got a shop to get your shopping, you've got a school, you've got a doctor, you don't need anything else, so you don't need to leave. That's exactly what they're doing.
You've got a park, get in your cage, you could. It's really staggering, isn't it? But I told you, you do have to laugh. I genuinely do. I think I'm a bit weird, me. My old man's like this. I remember when he stayed with us once in York, we had a spare bedroom, we had a whole bed for him and everything. We said, get your fat one down. We went out on the drink all night. So get your fat one down, I'll see you in the morning. Came downstairs, he was sat fully clothed with his boots on, just sort of sat on the couch like all night, like he didn't bother going to bed. And she was like, your dad's weird. It's like he likes being uncomfortable. And I think that's what I've got off him. Like, I like it. Like, the more people fuck with me, I'm the type of person that when people start throwing punches, I cackle maniacally because I love it. It's like I get excited. And when they fuck with me, I like it. Like, I like the idea of the big total fucking chaos. So I think I'm sorted either way, me. But I definitely think with you lads, and I would encourage anybody watching who's even debating it to take the fucking plunge, to do it, because I've said this for years. It takes all kinds. Not everybody has my pervert mentality. Most people want to be left in peace. And the way it's gone, I can't fucking believe that they've still got people selling houses in London and that, like buying them. Like, I've said this on my streams loads of time. If I was living in a 3-bedroomed house in a diverse area and I could sell the fucker for anything I could get for it and move into a 1-bedroom flat in a little village where everybody looks like me, I would do it. Like, I can't believe there's still people in the middle of Manchester. They go, oh, yeah, but I own the house. I'd be like, yeah, well, sell the fucker as soon as you can and go somewhere else. So
we've got people doing that. We've got people doing it. We've got members now with big pots of money, like 150 grand, 200 grand. And we're in discussions with, do we buy a farm with lots of land, and then they can recoup some of their money as other people buy plots on it, but they've got the farmhouse. Do we buy a pub? Again, it's tempting.
You can't, though, unless you do it all under the table. If you're paying rates and that on a pub now, you can't make any money because it's fucking 90% tax, isn't it?
Yeah, you see, we need to get back to what a pub really was, which is like we own it and we're not paying nothing.
Have a barn.
And we're selling beer and we're keeping all of the money. We've got to get away from tax as well.
Yeah, have a barn, make cider, and let people dunk a mug in for a fucking pound.
That's it.
And you keep all the money. That's how it needs to be. Because everything needs to be under the table now.
It's there's lots of discussions, but you can only have discussions like this when you've got a framework, when you've got land that you could put the barn on. Like, do you know what I mean? So we've already got 5, and I can't talk about 2 of them because the sale is just going through, and those people you just mentioned would love to throw a spanner in the works. So fuck them. But the three we've got one just outside Rye, which in Sussex, which is a lovely plot. That's 5.5 acres. We had a team of blokes down there last weekend building a track. So we had diggers down there, 100-ton of stone going in. All proactive stuff. Do you know what I mean? We've got the big meadow in Wales, and we've got a woodland in Wales as well, where there are.
So is that where you live now then? Because that's
No.
where the Guardian was moaning about Wales.
I've got 2.5 acres in Wiltshire, which is nice, but I don't know. I kind of want to do it again, so I might even sell the one I've got and start all over. It's a weird thing.
Don't tell me exactly where you are. Keir Starmer will do a fucking airstrike on your position. I've got a few super chats here asking after you. Anglo-Saxon said that's hello to Woody. He said he's been aware of you for years.
Yeah. Well, I think Anglo got involved right at the beginning as well.
Stu said hello as well. Have a beer on me. Subscribe to Woodlander. Looking forward to watching his content. Woodlander's surprisingly good at monologues. He's a lot more calm and reserved than me. It makes more sense. Doesn't just flip out on a whim. Well, you know what's good news? They reckon SpaceX is going to do an IPO this year, and if that happens, I'll get loads of Elon bucks, and then I can pitch in and buy a plot of land off you.
Yeah, man.
Retire.
The thing is, it answers a lot of people's what they need now. So it gives you community. It gives us a huge skills base. So within our membership, we've got people that do everything, who are good at everything. So we've got engineers, we've got builders, we've got carpenters, we've got teachers, we've got doctors, we've got nurses, mechanics. All of this stuff we've already got nailed down.
Like a village from the old days where
exactly that, man. Yeah. And that's what you need, though. And you need those people to be able to go, look, we need someone over at this plot who can do this. Brilliant. We got people who can grow food. We got people who can rear livestock. We kind of got it nailed down. As we go forward, we can look at it, puts us in a position where we're able to decide how we want to do it. What do we want to do? Do we want to take more stuff from the system, or do we want to fuck it off completely? It's up to us. But it gives us the choice. It's not them telling us what we'll do. It's us deciding what we want to do. And that's really what living off grid taught me is it gave me more options than anyone I knew, because all of the money I decided to earn is mine. I've got no mortgage. I've got no rent. I've got no electricity bill. I've got no water rates. Pay no council tax.
Oh, I'd give my left bollock to have no council tax. I fucking hate giving the government money. Council tax,
and it's man. So. And I grew some food, and we did have poultry, and I was left in a position where I again, the option is if I continue to work 5 days a week and have loads of money, and I didn't. I said no. I'd rather work less because I don't need that money. So I only work 3 days, which is lovely. Do you know what I mean? It just gives me more time to do other things. But you can only do that if you change what you're doing. If you're stuck in working 9 till 5 and you've got a house you're paying for, and at the end of it, you've got nothing left, right? You're fucked.
Yeah.
You're just surviving. And that's all you're ever going to do. If you want to get away from that, if you want to do something different, then you have to change what you're doing. And what we're able to do is offer people that opportunity. But you can do it whilst you carry on doing what you're doing. And we can help you do it. And that's powerful, man. Like, there isn't many people out there helping their people in that way.
I think if you really want to blow the numbers up in an era of modernity, you need to convince the masses that the quality of life's good, that you're not living under a poncho.
That only happens. It's difficult in the UK. It's much easier in America because of the zoning rules and everything else. I mean, Return to the Land just bought like land in the Ozarks, and then just started building because they're allowed.
Yeah, America's class
Over
for that,
here,
isn't it?
to put a tyre swing up on a tree, you need, planning permission, and then they'll turn it down. It costs you £3,000, and you can't fart without a piece of paper being filled out, right, and lodged with the council. There are ways around things, and I know all of them. I've had to. I spent like 2 years studying planning and law and land classifications and what the difference is and how you can do it. So there are things we can do, and you can get onto your land and you can survive there, right? But it isn't at the moment something we can just publicise. It is something we can take people and show them, right? But if we publicise it, we blow it for the next plot and the plot after that. So at the moment, it's all word of mouth, and the membership's growing all of the time. We had to get rid of a load of 10-pounders, people who think, oh, I'll just pay my tenner, and then I'll just use all the plots as like a cheap, I can go down on my motorhome. I'm not going to get involved in anything else. So, and that wasn't really the ethos of it. It was kind of, no, we want everyone to chip in so we can buy some more land and then help some other people, and everyone works together, and then it works. Bit like an insurance policy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It only works because everybody's got insurance. If only one fucker had it, it ain't going to work.
I thought you'd get some scruffy bastards trying to snurgle the way in, like you always do.
Yeah.
But, yeah. No, I think it's a good idea. And as I've been telling everyone, I think the real secret to happiness is embracing that sort of Spartan lifestyle that our forebears had, because you get used to it. You get soft when you have memory foam mattress and central heating and all that shit. But really,
this is a conversation, right? This conversation is one that's going to be had more and more and more because of technology, right? The human imperative has always been to strive for comfort and convenience. Everything we've ever done, every invention, right, has been to make our lives more convenient and ourselves more comfortable. Every tool we've invented is so we don't have to dig dirt with our hands. We'll use a spade, then we'll invent a digger, and then we'll invent something else. Always comfort and convenience. But it's got to the point now is how much more do you really want, really? Right? The only thing that's missing now, I mean, people sit on their sofa, phone a takeaway, get some other fucker to deliver it to the door whilst watching Netflix. The only thing that's missing now is a tube from the letterbox to your stomach.
No, they're getting a legal immigrant who's had his genitals in the curry before to deliver it. You know what's funny? See, you say that, it's not everyone, because let me tell you, as a man who went to Sierra Leone, it's not everyone who likes to look for comfort, because I'll tell you what they do out there. They sit on the bony fucking arses under a tree and do nothing all day. And this is mental, right? When we went out there, you know, talked me around and actually gave me a good counterpoint was my wife, because we went out there and we every time we'd go to the pub and tell people present, because it's always good for a laugh, about how we jumped out the helicopter and all the locals are just stood there fucking watching us, gormless. Straight away, as soon as we get some downtime, we put in a harbour area, 3-point perimeter, 10 trees in, right, chill. What should we do? Let's make ourselves more comfortable. So straight away, everyone's like chopping trees down, make a little makeshift bench, put a little bit of plywood on top. We've got a table we can play cards at. Straight away, everyone's doing stuff to make this camp that we're going to be in for a while comfortable. Locals sit under a fucking tree and watch you. They do nothing, right? And then we're there 6 weeks. And then when we're getting ready to leave, chopper's on, we're all getting on it. Sergeant Major's like, all of them are there. I can't fucking wait to get in and comb through the debris. You know what I mean? And then we get on the chopper and the sergeant major's like, come on then, you can come in, you cunt. And as we're flying off, they're fucking piling and they're in the Elson, beating the shit out of each other for a bit of shit-covered plywood, right? And that was when we all realised, we were like, there is something different about us. And I said to my, and I told my missus this, and she said, what you have to think though, and fair play to her, she's always the voice of reason. She said, you know, yeah, obviously the IQ, the brain chemistry from all that, our forebears, the weather, made us super hyper industrious, like because you're always cold. So I mean, it all makes sense from a. It is. I mean, it's unavoidably.
It's
what I'm
race
saying
realism.
It's unavoidably racist sounding, but it is science.
Yeah,
you know, like when I'm freezing, that's what I do. I fucking love digging when I'm fucking Baltic on exercise somewhere. I'm like, shit, I'm going to dig a hole for a laugh. It's like, that's what we did. But she said to me one good point, and that's why I do think there are thousands of factors. She said, think of it though. You told me out there that whenever you try to do anything nice for them, the biggest one in the jungle and just kick the shit out of everyone. And I was like, that's what they used to do. Like when we try to give them water, you start giving kids water, and then a big meathead, as soon as you turn your back, a big meathead kicks fuck out of all the kids, takes all the water off me, and the fat bloke's got 50. And she goes, so think about it. Not only do they not want to do anything because of all the other reasons, but out there, if you toil away and build something beautiful,
the big one's going to nick it.
Shit out of you and steal it. So at least if you do nothing, you've just got nothing. If you toil away, then you get beat up and you've got fucking nothing. So she was like, I'd rather have fuck all than have fuck all and a black eye and a broken jaw. And I was like, holy shit, you're right there. So it's like, there's multiple reasons.
Yeah.
That is one of them. So it's like, once you're down in the mire, you are fucked. I just thought I'd throw that amusing, somewhat racist anecdote in because, it's not everybody who goes, fucking hell, let's start making ourselves comfortable. Out there they go.
You know, we were like that as well, though. Like the might is right. We were like it as well. But then we introduced things like law, right, and rules. And like, no. Just because you're the biggest guy here doesn't mean you can beat up everyone else because that's not fucking fair. That's not cricket. Right?
Yeah.
So even before we invented cricket, we were saying it's not cricket. But that's us. That's us. And I've got very little time for anyone else, to be honest, because we need to secure our existence. Because seriously, we're only 10% of the world population, and it's getting less every single fucking year. I think I did a brief thing 2 weeks ago. If it continues to drop the way it's dropping in 187 years, there will be no more white people.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
now, I understand populations aren't linear, right? And it doesn't work like that. But just working on the figures, it's less than 200 years.
Yeah.
That's terrifying. And the only way you get round that is by, if we need something to change, we need to change what we're doing. So this whole political thing, unless Lowe gets in and does exactly what he's saying, and the reason I'm behind him isn't necessarily the deportations, although that's good, that's a start. It's because he says he understands that it's the whole system, all of it. He doesn't want to redo it or fix it. He wants to destroy it, tear it down, get rid of it, and let's put something in place that works for today, because what's there doesn't. If he can start with our system and then look at the banking, well, I'd be a very fucking happy man, because our system's knackered and we need something fit for purpose. What we've got does not work.
100%. 100%. It's fucked. Real Chiaro said, do you need a resident old hippie nana? I get retirement checks. Well, there you go. Old hippie. She can read the kids' stories or some shit. But no, it is. I think that's the key to being happy. I mean, you know what? Most things about the human race, you know, I do kind of love getting philosophical about this type of stuff where I'm not trying to be juvenile and mock people. You know, because when I was a kid, I used to love reading Richard Dawkins' books. And I think one of the things that's really fascinating about us is we're almost programmed to like the exact opposite of what we should like. It's because of evolution. So, like, because we never had fuck all, we like sitting on a chair and eating a pint of ice cream, and we don't like going for a jog. Like, all the stuff that we're programmed to do is the stuff that's bad for us.
Yeah.
And all the stuff that we're averse to is the shit that's good for us. Lifting weights, jogging, having a monogamous relationship.
Again, that's
hard,
back to that same conversation, which is we're hardwired, right, to make ourselves more comfortable, right, and things more convenient, right? But it's not. It gets to a point where it's actually not good for you, right? What you need to do, and we know this, right? If you need to improve your health, right, you need to exercise. But people don't want to exercise because it's uncomfortable, right, and it's inconvenient, so you don't want to do it. But the rewards only come, right, from when you're uncomfortable and it's inconvenient. Then there's a reward. You want to get jacked? You want to look good? Right, go to the gym. It's uncomfortable, it's inconvenient, but there's a reward at the end of it. If something's comfortable and convenient, there is no reward. You get nothing for it. Yeah. And that's the mess we're in. We need to change that.
And that's the point. And the reason I'm talking about it is because it's analogous to so many things in life. Anything worth doing is hard. So I'm saying anybody who looks at your website and thinks, bit hard that. Yes, so it's worth doing.
Yes, exactly that.
It's everything. It's not just eating or drinking or exercising. It's everything. Like, it's hard being a good husband. I have been, because I was sensible enough to, be a young bootneck and play the fiddle a lot when I was young. Got married when I was in my 30s. It's hard to be a good husband and try and ignore the lass who's batting the eyelids at you when you're at work and stuff. But you do it because it's worthwhile, because you're cultivating something better. And I think that the Woodlander initiative is yet another extension of that sort of ethos that I've told everyone. Like, if it's worth doing, it's hard, and it should be difficult.
Well, the other thing I've actually said to people, this isn't for you, right? Because they say, okay, explain it. And I say, okay, look, everyone's going to chip in £1,000, right? And with that money, we buy land all around. And then the people in those areas that want their own plot, we can afford, right, to parcel off, and they can buy their own plot. And it makes it affordable because we can chop it down and we can help them, because we've got all these members who are willing to help them, so they don't have to do it on their own. And they're like, brilliant. So if I put in £1,000, what's in it for me? And I say, this isn't for you. This is not for you. But until you can understand that attitude, right, is out the window, it's, okay, what's in it for us? Because if we all put in, it will work. But you get 2 or 3 people who are, I'm only doing this for what I can get out of it. This isn't for you, right? Because we need to understand we're never going to get through, right? We're never going to get through with greedy bastards who are only in it for themselves. We've got to start helping each other. Every other group does that. We've got to get back to it. Let's help each other. And stop thinking about what's in it for you, what's in it for us as a group.
That's how you cultivate good relationships as well, though, isn't it? It's not purely transactional. Like, you build trust and camaraderie and a genuine bond with people. Is you're not just there.
You'll understand that, like with your army background. You imagine one soldier in there who's just like, no, I'm only looking out for me. Well, I'll be hiding behind here and only going to shoot anyone, right, that's directly going to injure me. And you lot can fuck off and do your own thing. It doesn't really work, does it? And you can't even have, you've got 20 soldiers like that, it's still not going to work, right? You need a group of people that are going to work together, right, and help each other, right, even when it's uncomfortable for them. I don't really want to do this. I don't want to go over there with him, right, but I'm going to have to, because otherwise he's dead, right? And if he's dead, then no one's going to get fixed because he's the fucking medic. So I've got to go with him. I've got to look after him.
As you say, I correctly not understand this, but this is why I'm saying maybe the fact things are getting as bad as they are will help drive people towards what you're trying to achieve, because as it gets worse, it becomes more obvious. Like, for example, I went from being a lefty to getting radicalized. You know who radicalized me? The one man who did more to radicalize me. It wasn't Tony Romo. It was fucking Lenny Henry. Or what's his name? That Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua radicalized me. Because when I was 25...
Just shop at black shops.
Yeah, well, when I was 25, I was always like, oh, no one's like that. Everyone just, does what they can, like... And I realised when he said that, I was like, oh, yeah, my whole life, if I was a young lad in Borough and I wanted some cans, I'll go to the local Puma Tracky shop. If I want my hair cut, I'll go to the closest barbers. I didn't care what the people would do. I didn't care if it was a Pakistani or a Jew or a 4B2 or an Anthony Joshua. I'd just go. And then when Anthony Joshua started doing that and banging that drum, I realised, I was like, oh shit, everybody else does it. If a Jewish bloke wants to spend his money, he goes to see another 4B2. If a Pakistani wants to spend his money, he goes only to another Pakistani.
Yeah.
And then Anthony Joshua, God bless him, goes straight on national television and says, I hate the people I've been taking the piss out of for the last 25 years. And I was like, okay then. So yeah, don't be blaming Tony Romo for radicalising people. Go take it up with Anthony fucking Joshua, because that's the guy who tipped me over the edge.
Yeah, well, this is exactly it. Every other group does it. They all have an in-group preference. And we were told for so long, right, that we shouldn't have one. And actually, it's fine to, everyone's the same. They never knew that. They never believed it. We were the only fuckers, right? And it's time we started going, no. Right, we're helping ourselves and not this lot.
And what's wrong with that?
This is for us.
If it's all right for them, why is it not all right for us? This is what I was saying here about how it's like, if you're a person with a logical brain, you have to take this position. I didn't take this position because I wanted to take this position. I took this position because I've got a logical ENTP personality type. And if something's logical, I have to do it. I'm like a fucking Vulcan. That's the way I am.
Okay. And I tipped my hat really to you after I saw you on with David Clues, because you at least you're willing to go, okay, right, I don't believe there's this shady group of Israelis sat in the back room of a kibbutz somewhere, like planning world domination. So explain to me how this works. At least you were willing to sit there and actually go, yeah, you've got a point on some of this shit. Like,
yeah.
And now what's playing out in with Iran, like, and it just, everyone's kind of, yep, it's an Israeli war. Like, do you know what I mean?
Well, it was much better than David's, Mr. Collette, because I went to talk to him. And if you haven't seen it, look it up. I went and chatted with him for an hour on Rumble. You can tell he's a public schoolboy. He's much better at it than David. Yeah. David had a few holes in his arguments, but Mark knows
that subject inside out.
Inside out.
And the thing is, once you understand it, it's just like a step, isn't it? And you go, fuck me. That's like, okay.
And this is what I'm saying. I never had any inclination towards 5 years ago. I wouldn't have dreamed of seeing things Mark's way. But when something is undeniable, a strong man faces the mirror and says, well, that's the way it is then. Yeah. And I'm still not on board with every conspiracy. 9/11, I'm still like, I've heard as many arguments for the conspiracy as I have against it. And I'm I've listened to all of them. I'm not ignorant about it. I watched the documentary. I listened to a full 2 hours of David Icke on the subject. Like, it's fascinating, and I don't discount anything. But I think I never.
But no one's convinced you on that, and that's cool.
100%.
That's one of those ones where you just go, do you know what? I don't know. I don't know which one it is. Maybe it's the media narrative. Maybe it was, a demolition. I'm unsure.
Well, the problem is, because we're more people of the right and the sort of cynics and the pragmatists like us of all stripes. Our problem is we're a lot less collective. And Richard Dawkins saw it right. He said, atheists compared to Catholics, it's like herding cats. That's our problem. Is we're very individualist, and that's what I am of all things. So the same reason that I'll happily have a crack with David or Mark, and I go for a pint with Mark. I genuinely got on with the bloke. Yeah. The problem is, I'm not ever going to 100% buy into any one thing because I'm a free thinker. And I think one of the problems is because
that's
of
good.
Our natural
that's
leanings.
Good, and that's pure. The problem we've got is Europeans are, and especially the English, right? We're individuals, and we understand that, right? We've always been like that, but we've also been really, really good at collectivizing. If you look at a traditional English village, right, it was the perfect collective. You had the people that lived in the village, owned the village shops. You had a farm on the outskirts that provided the food for it. Everyone pulled together. They used to help with the harvest. Everyone helped each other because they knew each other. collective. But everyone did their own thing, like, because we are individualistic, right? And this is where our tolerance comes from as well, right? We tolerated the bloody idiot, right? The village idiot.
The village idiot,
right?
yeah.
And we could take the piss out of him, right? But you can't. You can't, because he's our idiot. Right? We can call him whatever we want, but you can't. Do you know?
You know, you reminded me of there. Years ago, I took one of my mates from 40 Commando, like called Danny. He's from down south, and I took him up to Borough for a weekend, and we went out on the piss. And we were getting a taxi back, and I was saying, it is a shithole Borough. Like I said, that place is rough, that place is rough. And then the Puma taxi driver started going, oh yeah, Middlesbrough's a fucking shithole. And we both got mega chewy, and we're like, you can't slag it off, you scruffy third world cunt. I was like, I'm happy to take the piss out of Middlesbrough. I don't want you fucking doing it.
But that's it. I mean, and that's the way we are. But we need to get back a little bit, right, to being able to be a collective. And it's been bad mouth because it's a left wing thing. Do you know what I mean? It's, you know, well, I don't really give a fuck, right? Left wing, right wing, but whatever wing you want to call it, right? If we don't work together, right, for the good of all of us, we're going down in flames. We've just got to learn how to do it again.
100%. There's so many things hamstring us because of our background, our forebears, our culture. But at least I take solace from the fact that history's proven that sort of breeds tough people. Again, the other thing that hamstrings the argument is, of all the other things, is what I was going to say was, because of it, we let the fruity people talk as well. And that's what I told David. I said, another reason you've got problems convincing me is because when I'll see like a daft documentary on YouTube and the bloke who's a conspiracy theory is like stoned, he's got ganja rocks down the front of his Hawaiian shirt and he's a fucking fruitcake, and then they put a super clever guy from Harvard in a suit on, some part of you just goes, oh, surely he's got more sense to talk than this bloke. He doesn't automatically, but there is the optics as well, because we'll let anyone talk. As you say, we'll let the village fucking idiot have a go. When we were kids, think about this, we were even nice to the homeless. Living in Los Angeles has made me not just dislike the homeless, but fucking despise them. I was telling my boss at work, I was like, growing up in England, I always liked the homeless. I said, because there was one, he was a little weirdo called Dave, and everyone knew him, and they'd be like, oh, it's Dave, he's harmless. No one had a problem with him. I said, and then you go to LA, and there's 20 Africans masturbating at the traffic lights. All of a sudden, I have got a fucking problem with the homeless.
Yeah.
Like, it's fucking mental. Like, so this is where we are. This is where we're at. It is our culture and our background in many ways hamstrings us, but the one way it doesn't is that it's given us forebears that have went through 1,000 times worse shit than this. And that's what I tell everybody.
I think in 3 years, if anyone watched my last video, I was really careful how I kind of put it across. Whichever way that happens, right, what Restore have done is they've put on the table what was underneath it before. So they've put on the table that's the last go. 2029 is the last go for politics.
Yeah.
And if you want to survive as a people after that point, it isn't going to be through politics.
No.
That was under the table before, and now it's on the top. Like, one chance. Either they get in which case we're going to have a decade of violence if they get in. There's no two ways about it. Right? Some of the comments in my under that video were, "Oh, it'll be all right. We'll just put the police and the army out. They'll be fine." I'm like, the total army is 135k.
Yeah.
Right? And you're talking about 20 million immigrants.
Do you see the BLM riots when they were literally chasing the cops down the street?
Yeah.
There's like 50 coppers getting bricks shot at them.
And that was what, 10, like 5,000 people on that demonstration? Yeah. Now put 1 million people there.
It'd be a lot worse than that if
1 million people, right, that know that if they lose, they're being flung on a plane and taken back to Mogadishu.
If Restore win, the next day the streets will be on fire. Like it'll be like the BLM riots, but way worse, won't it?
Yeah. Now I don't mind that, right? It just means it's going to be really hard for a decade. Right? It will. But there's an end. If they don't get in, there will be so many people that are now aware that that was our last hope, that it won't be a riot, right? It will turn into, that's when you're going to end up with sectarian violence aimed at the state, not necessarily aimed at the migrants. Some might come in for a hard time, I'm not sure, but aimed at the state, because if you can't do it through politics, they're leaving no other option.
I think if Restore don't win, it's gonna turn into the nice mishmash between Orwellian and Huxley. It's gonna be like they're gonna have CCTV, robots, cameras, technology.
Yeah, it's already there. And that's what I said. That Agenda 2030 program is trundling along in the background, which no one's really. There are people looking at it, but not our side anymore. But that's still there. And those 5G cameras going up in every single town with facial recognition, number plate recognition. Do you know what I mean? It's all there. They can geo-fence you. The minute you go through that, they can cut your electric car off straight away. They can cut the electric to your house now. If you've got a smart meter, they can just turn your power off. Like that.
Fucking waggers, aren't they? I have to... Anglo-Saxon said, say hello to Dottie. She's a good lass, a patriot, and thanks for getting Woody. I don't know who Dottie is, but there you go. I do think, regards this like technocracy, that'll just slow walk the process. It'll just kick off 10 years later down the line. And in the meantime, you'll have to have... I told you, I know what the future looks like. The future's going to be like the Matrix. Everyone's going to live in a tiny little apartment, or the Fifth Element. There's a reason all the clever sci-fi writers make society look the same. Yeah. The only people that are going to avoid it are going to be people like you. Like the fucking Last Samurai. You're going to be living in your little farm
as it progresses, right, if they don't win in 2029, as this progresses, if you have a look at all those dystopian films, right, there's always this weird little sect that end up winning, right? That end up winning. They're the ones in the desert growing food, or they're the ones on that little island that have the water, or they're the ones that live underground, right, and are doing their own thing. Yeah. And no one really takes any notice of them until they crop up and win the day in the end. And that will be us, because we'll be out there keeping it real. Do you know what I mean? We won't be under surveillance. We won't be taking digital IDs. We won't be interacting with the system, but we will be able to feed ourselves. We will have shelter. We will have children running around. Like we will be ensuring our existence.
Well, think about it, right? I mean, it just makes sense on a base human level. If you just get rid of all the science shit, think of it like common sense. A guy who does a manual job is going to kick fuck out of someone who doesn't. I always say, if 10 Guardian journalists have a fight with 5 scaffolders from the northeast, who's going to fucking win? The scaffolder with the rigger boots, he wears metal boots to work and he climbs about on shit all day. He's going to punch your face in. Who's going to win a fight? A bloke who lives on a little commune hewing logs with his own 2 hands, or some fucking gimp who lives in a little bedsit and he spends 12 hours a day plugged into his... Because think about it, the technology's getting better. You think they're all addicted to video games now? In 2030, he's going to be plugged in to his VR headset with his Gobbletron 3000 strapped to his cock, doing nothing all day. So it'll literally be like, you'll be like if your initiative takes off and you've got guys out there, you know, wrestling pigs and hewing logs, they'll be like the superhumans of 2035, won't they? They'll have these little scrawny soy boys going, and like one, you know, brawny lumberjack just going through them like the fucking Hulk. It'll be easy.
It's an answer if it ever gets that bad. It's an answer now for a lot of people that haven't really looked at it. So I really want to try and get it across to young men. And there's so many young men out there who are like, I can't afford to buy a house. I'm like, man, we could have a 2-bed cabin built, like $6,000.
Yeah.
Like literally, like you could buy a plot of land, right? And over the next 2 years, get your cabin built. And then you've got no rent to pay, no mortgage. It's yours. You own it. You keep all of your money.
It's great. Great. If I move home, I'll come. I'll live in the fucking woods. I couldn't give a fuck. I've already had several years of the Gobbletron. It sucked me dry. I've got nothing left to give. So no, it's. I think it'll be fine. Like I said, I'll just keep taking the piss. Whatever happens, reform or restore or no, come 2030, we'll either get it done the easy way or we'll get it done the fucking hard way. Sorry, the easy way is a hard way because it'll kick off. Or the very, very hard way, because it'll kick off even worse, slightly longer down the road. But either way, I think in the long run, we'll win, because we always do. And that's the message.
We always do.
To end on a high note, we always do. The days, what is it? The night is darkest before the dawn. We looked like we were totally fucked. Remember when the Dutch sailed up?
Do you know what? I wouldn't even be bothered doing what I'm doing if I didn't know we'd win. I know we win. Yeah. All I'm trying to do is put us in the best possible situation for the hardship in the middle bit.
Yeah. No, we'll definitely win. I made a video about it. It was like the Dutch sailed up the fucking river in England, twatted us, burnt our fleet, and then 100 years later, we were at the lowest ebb we'd ever been. And then 100 years later, twatted the frogs and the Spaniards at Trafalgar, took over the entire fucking world. Like, there's no need to get paranoid about it. We'll definitely win. And speaking as a man who's had fist fights with Puma trackies on multiple occasions, we will never fucking lose, I'm telling you. So we can do it the hard way, or we can do it the even harder way. But the moral of the story is, you're doing a good thing. I think it'd be wise for people to pitch in and get involved. It'll be good for the brain. It'll be good for the mind and the soul. It'll be good for the biceps as well. And I think in a long term, we're all going to be sorted. However we get there.
Cool, man.
Right, that'll do us because that's an hour and 7 minutes. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I'll put a quick link in the Woodlanders channel before I fuck off for those of you that haven't subscribed to him. And thanks all for coming. I'm not going to be around too much as of tomorrow night. I'm going to LA and I'm meeting a load of hooligans from Middlesbrough. There's Woodlanders thing. I'm meeting a load of hooligans in Middlesbrough in Los Angeles on Saturday. So we'll go and... Did you hear about the Irish bloke who got deported for saying he was going to dig up Marilyn Monroe? I nearly made a joke about digging up Marilyn Monroe there, but apparently TSA have got no sense of humour about these things. We'll have a good time. So I'm not going to be around for about a week. So I'm going to try and record a few videos beforehand. I might do a stream tomorrow and then I'm out for a week. Everyone in the chat, if you're expecting much Bootneck over the weekend, there won't be. I apologise for that. In the meantime, thanks for tuning in to Mr. Woodlander. Go and follow his channel if you haven't. And I'm sure I'll see Simon and the rest of you about in short order anyway. All right?
Good night,
Thanks for turning up. Cheers. See you later, everyone. Good night.